exciting, people. If it's March in New York City, it means three things. Number one, the Mets fans are filled with optimism. Number two, you want to stay away from Fifth Avenue on St. Patrick's Day. And number three, it's LEDucation time. And this year's show is promising to be a very well-attended and successful event. And we're pleased to be joined today by two of the LEDucation co-chairs. First, we're joined by Burt Grant, principal of Metro Area Sales, one of the co-chairs of LEDucation, and also Caroline Rinker, principal of Rinker Associates, and also a co-chair of LEDucation. Burt, Caroline, so glad you're here. Burt, let's start with you. Burt, I'm predicting that LEDucation 2023 could be a record event. Will I be right?
I think you will be. So far, as of yesterday, we had, excuse me, approximately 5,400 registrations. And that's way above what we did pre-COVID. So based upon that, this should be a record year.
Well, that's fantastic. And, you know, there's one of the pre-COVID things about LEDucation that it was always in person. And it shouldn't go unnoticed that those conference sessions that you have, stellar speakers, stellar programs, stellar content. And COVID caused you folks to shift to a virtual event. And now it's a hybrid event. So Caroline, on that Monday, March 6th, tell us about the virtual event that still exists for the people who can't make it to New York City.
Well, our speaker committee, Wendy Kaplan and Craig Fox, put this together. When we had the virtual LEDucation now, we had people attend from 68 different countries. And, you know, so they didn't want to give that up, to give people a chance to experience the great sessions and the credits for people who couldn't get there in person. All in total, we have 36 educational sessions. So, you know, it's a great value to many, many people.
It's a lot of knowledge, a lot of CEUs being dispersed.
Yes.
Valuable information for sure.
Yes.
And as we transition to the exhibit floor, Burt, one of the charms of LEDucation is that it's a walkable show. You don't need 2 days to walk the show, although some people do take it because of all the great conversations that occur in the aisles and in the lobby and other areas. But when you consider the booth setup and why exhibitors exhibit, it's confined to ballrooms at the New York Hilton. So we don't see large 20 by 30 booths, which causes manufacturers to not be able to exhibit more than maybe a few product families. Why do you think that formula works so well for LEDucation?
Well, most of the small and mid-sized companies love the format because they're on an equal footing with the big guys. So you could be a small manufacturer next to the biggest company in the United States, and you're on an equal size exhibit. So that's why they love it, because people will come and look at their display just as a big company. And besides which, companies usually come to LEDucation to showcase their new products.
Right.
And they're not going to show products that are 20 years old or 15 years old. So this smaller format gives them the opportunity to truly highlight all their new products.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's like a greatest hits because you don't have to walk through the rest of the booth at a trade show, which is fantastic. And then Caroline, one of the ways that the show has evolved since 2006 is that the aisles and the ballrooms are organized by New York City agents. And for those people outside of New York City, there's a lot more agents in New York than there might be in regular package markets. So there's over 20 lighting agents in New York, each having their own section. But even within those sections, who determines which booths get assigned the primo locations at the end of the aisle or near the entrance? And what happens to those brands that aren't represented by a New York agent? Are they put in some land of misfit toys? How does that all work?
Well, Al, what we do every year is we try to be fair. As you know, we move the exhibitors around. If you were in the ballroom one year, you may be in America's Hall the next year, you may be in Rylander. So everybody gets a chance to be, in a different place. It's challenging because, some of the reps have 60 tables, some have 10, so it's what we try to do is place the big ones first. And then what we do is we send a table placement to the representative. They place the manufacturers. we do not do that. So,
Okay.
you know, when I get my section for O'Blaney Rinker, I place the manufacturers where they're going to be. As for the misfit toys, absolutely not. The single tables, you know, like I said, we place the big representatives first, and then we fill in, you know, with the singles or the doubles or the smaller. But we do try to be fair. And as Burt said, you know, previously, you know, the show really hasn't changed since we started with 7 tables, Burt, or 12?
No, it was 35.
Was the first one 35?
Yeah, the first show had 35 tables.
Wow. So everybody gets an equal footing. And I think that's what makes the show so successful. And before I forget, my one thought, and another reason the show is so successful is because of the community support. You know, we really get, you know, lighting designers, architects, distributors, everybody comes to the show to support it. So we, you know, we keep the exhibitors happy.
Absolutely. And not only are the exhibitors happy, the attendees seem to be very happy, and that's why they keep coming back. It should go, we haven't mentioned it yet, and my apologies for not raising it myself. Designers Lighting Forum of New York is the official owner of the show. And over the years, when you consider, Burt, you were one of the 3 founders of this thing back in 2006 with 30 some odd tables at a different venue. Now, of course, there's a waiting list at the Hilton, and who knows, maybe we might see rope lines like outside the Louis Vuitton store on Fifth Avenue to get into LEDucation someday. But when you consider how much this show has grown, is there room for growth in the future? And what do you envision the future of LEDucation looking like?
Actually, I'm going to give you a scoop, Al. Nobody knows this yet. We are investigating the possibility of expanding LEDucation to include foreign exhibitors. At the present time, it's basically domestic distributors, but we've been approached by one of the embassies in New York who want to have more of their companies exhibiting at our show. And they're going to turn over the names of their counterparts in other countries, European countries. And we're talking about perhaps expanding into a Euro section, a Euro pavilion. So we do have room upstairs in America's Hall 2. America's Hall 2 presently this year is being used for the IES student competition. But we have room to put it into another room in a lower floor and hold this European pavilion upstairs. So something we're working on, not finalized, but that will bring our show to more of an international show.
Very exciting. And yeah, remember you folks used that space last year for other reasons as well. So so just to follow up on that, Burt, to make sure I understand. So the short-term possibility, not probability or definite plan, but possibility is for some European entities to take a larger participatory role as exhibitors, and you would find a way to cluster them in a different area of the New York Hilton. Is that what I just heard?
Correct.
That's awesome. That's exciting. And you know what? You know, we're 17 blocks from the United Nations, actually fewer than that. And why not have LEDucation be the United Nations, at least on the US soil, of lighting? So very exciting. If you can't tell, I'm enthusiastic about seeing the lighting community next week. I know you two and the rest of the committee chairs have put just a ton of work, most of it going unnoticed, unrecognized, and probably underappreciated. So on behalf of the lighting community, thank both of you. Thank DLF and all the other chairs for the work that you're doing to put together this gathering that's garnering so much enthusiasm. And we will see you, Burt. We will see you, Caroline, next week in New York, around with thousands of others. So Burt, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you,
Caroline,
Al.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week, Al. Thank you.
Hey there, we really enjoyed that discussion. We hope that you did as well. Be sure to click that big LED logo next to me, and what that'll do is subscribe you to our YouTube channel so you don't miss the next 5 Big Questions interview. And YouTube subscribers always receive an early preview to the next interview before we even post it on the Inside Lighting website. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.